Amal Clooney in the spotlight again, not for her marriage to George Clooney or her glamorous red carpet style, but for her role as a legal advisor to the International Criminal Court in the Netherlands.
George Clooney's wife, Amal, is risking her life and family for a mission so dangerous it defies belief. She's facing death threats and a storm of hate just for doing her job, investigating war crimes in the Gaza conflict. Even her family's safety hangs in the balance as her work puts targets on their backs. Tune into a fight so fierce, its stakes are life itself. Amal Clooney's mission. Amal's role in advising the International Criminal Court has landed her in the middle of the never-ending chaos that is the Israel-Gaza conflict. She's helping to investigate potential war crimes, and her team's targets include some seriously big names. We're talking prime ministers and top militant leaders. While that might sound noble, the reality is anything but glamorous. She's got people from all sides of the political spectrum breathing down her neck, and the online backlash is brutal. But the real shocker, Amal's latest discovery could change everything, if she dares to reveal it. Critics on social media are coming for her hard. Forget constructive criticism, this is straight-up vitriol. People are questioning everything. Her methods, her motives, even her integrity. And the worst part, a lot of it is just noise. Baseless accusations flying from keyboard warriors who have no clue what it takes to do this kind of work. The internet amplifies the hate and drowns out the facts. Being married to George Clooney doesn't help. It makes her a shiny, easy target for tabloids and trolls alike. Her silence at the start of the Gaza conflict, which she had to keep for confidentiality reasons, got twisted into something ugly. People accused her of being complicit or indifferent, and when her involvement was finally revealed, it felt like too little, too late to some corners of the internet. The damage was done. It's a nasty lesson in how public perception can turn on a dime, especially for someone constantly in the spotlight. But the hate isn't just virtual. Her line of work is dangerous in ways most of us can't imagine. Investigating war crimes puts a target on your back. Her family's safety is a real concern, not just hers, but her kids too. Think about that for a second. Doing your job shouldn't mean fearing for your life, but that's exactly what she's up against. And this isn't some hypothetical threat, it's real and it's terrifying. What makes all this even more maddening is that she is, at her core, just trying to do the right thing. She's not out here picking sides or playing favorites. Her job is about applying international law, fairly, impartially, and without bias. But good luck convincing people of that. In today's hyper-polarized world, even a hint of impartiality can make you everyone's enemy. The criticism isn't just coming from one camp, it's coming from everywhere. Some say she's too harsh on one side, others claim she's too soft on the other. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. And then there's the emotional toll. Let's not pretend this kind of work doesn't get to you. She's a professional, sure, but she's also human. The constant attacks, the weight of the cases she handles, the very real risks, it's exhausting just thinking about it. Imagine living it. Yet somehow, she keeps going. Why? Because she believes in the rule of law, in holding powerful people accountable, in justice. The world needs people like her, even if it's terrible at showing it. It's not all doom and gloom. Her work shines a spotlight on issues most of us would rather ignore. Her platform brings attention to victims who would otherwise be forgotten, and that matters a lot. But the downside of that platform, everything she does is magnified, scrutinized, and more often than not, twisted into something it's not. It's the double-edged sword of fame, and she's been handed the sharpest blade. Where does this leave her? Stuck in a relentless storm of public opinion, professional pressure, and personal risk. But if her track record is anything to go by, she's not backing down. She isn't just another lawyer, she's a force. And while the world might not always appreciate her, she's out here doing the work that matters. Consequences be damned. If that's not bravery, what is? Her career hasn't just been about chasing headlines or high-profile cases. Her legal journey has always revolved around holding people accountable. The warlords, the despots, the untouchables. She doesn't pick easy fights, and that's part of why her work matters so much. When others look away, she steps in. Her clients aren't celebrities or billionaires, they're survivors, victims, and communities who've been through horrors most of us can't even imagine. And yet this visibility comes at a cost. The constant spotlight means every move she makes is dissected, every word she says is scrutinized, and every case she takes on is politicized. Being married to a global superstar doesn't shield her from this, it amplifies it. People don't just see her as a lawyer, they see her as part of a power couple, which makes her an even bigger target. The headlines rarely focus on her achievements, instead they're filled with distractions about her personal life. Even her success becomes a point of contention. Critics argue that her fame gives her an edge, but that argument ignores the sheer skill and determination it takes to do what she does. Fame doesn't win court battles or draft airtight arguments. Fame doesn't keep you up at night preparing for a case that could shape international law. Fame might open doors, but it's talent, grit, and hard work that get you through them. Despite the noise, her impact is undeniable. Her work doesn't just change lives, it changes systems. She's helped set precedents in international law, holding people accountable for crimes many thought they'd get away with. These aren't just victories for her clients, they're victories for justice itself. And while the road is far from easy, her persistence ensures that these victories happen at all. The criticism she faces often ignores the bigger picture. She's not out here for applause or validation, she's here to do the work that matters. That means taking on cases that are complicated, divisive, and frankly dangerous. It means standing up to powerful forces that would rather she stayed quiet. And it means accepting that the world might never fully understand or appreciate what she's doing. As she presses forward, each case pushes her closer to a truth the world isn't ready to confront. Struggling to keep it together. Despite the challenges, they recently celebrated 10 years of marriage. From their stunning Venetian wedding to their low-key family life in the English countryside, their journey has been anything but ordinary. Yet as they navigate this latest chapter, the question remains, is their love story strong enough to weather the storm? 10 years in, they have achieved what many couples dream of, a family, a shared purpose, and a legacy. However, the road ahead looks anything but smooth. Balancing two demanding careers, raising children, and maintaining their privacy in an unforgiving public eye is no small feat. Whether their marriage is on the rocks or just hitting a rough patch, one thing's for sure: the world is watching. And if there's one lesson to take away from their saga, it's that even the most glamorous couples face the grind of real life. The question isn't whether they'll survive the spotlight, it's whether they can survive each other. Their marriage, a Hollywood heartthrob and a powerhouse human rights lawyer. Sounds like the ultimate dream team, right? They've got the looks, the brains, and the charm, but don't be fooled. Behind the magazine covers and picture-perfect smiles lies a reality far messier than anyone would expect. Think their lives are all glamorous parties and dreamy getaways? Guess again. This story isn't about their wedding, no Venice gondola fairy tales here. It's about the pressure cooker they live in, one that'll leave you questioning if fame and success are really worth the cost. From the moment they went public with their relationship, they became everyone's favorite obsession. Hollywood royalty meets international law hero. Their 2014 wedding wasn't just a big deal, it was the event. Fancy outfits, star-studded guest list, Venice as the backdrop. It screamed perfection. But while we were busy swooning over their love story, the real challenges were just beginning. Imagine trying to juggle two high-stakes careers, raise twins, and keep your sanity while the world watches your every move. Sounds exhausting, doesn't it? Let's start with him. He's been famous for ages thanks to roles like Dr. Doug Ross on ER and a string of blockbuster movies. Add his tequila empire, ever heard of Casamigos, and his activism, and you've got a guy who's always in the spotlight. But fame isn't all red carpets and fan mail. He's talked about how exhausting it is to keep up the charming, cool guy persona. Imagine being expected to be on all the time. Walking through a park? Forget it. Paparazzi are lurking. Dinner out with the family? Cue strangers snapping photos. Even your downtime becomes a performance. Then there's Amal. Before she met him, she was already a big deal in her own right. Tackling war crimes, representing political prisoners, and making headlines for her legal smarts. She wasn't chasing fame, it found her. Suddenly, every outfit she wore, every case she took on, and every word she said was under a microscope. For someone used to focusing on serious global issues, becoming a tabloid darling was probably the last thing she wanted. Now, she's not just a lawyer, she's a celebrity, whether she likes it or not. And their kids? Alexander and Ella might be the luckiest twins alive, but they're growing up in a world where normal doesn't exist. Bodyguards, private jets, and a fortress-like home life might keep them safe, but it also isolates them. Amal and her husband are trying to shield their kids from the craziness of fame, but how do you give your children a normal childhood when the world won't stop watching? Even their so-called escapes aren't really escapes. Their villa in Lake Como, a place that should scream peaceful retreat, has become a hotspot for nosy photographers and drone enthusiasts. Imagine waking up to strangers' cameras flying over your morning coffee. Not exactly the dreamy hideaway they'd hoped for. The careers don't help either. Amal's work takes her to some of the world's most dangerous places. She's facing down dictators, defending human rights, and getting caught in political crossfires. It's not just stressful, it's life-threatening. He isn't exactly taking it easy either. Between acting, directing, and managing billion-dollar ventures, he's stretched thin. Their schedules rarely sync up, and even with promises to never spend more than a week apart, real life doesn't always cooperate. But the toughest part? The relentless expectations. They're seen as a power couple who've got it all, which leaves zero room for mistakes. Every move they make is analyzed. Amal's groundbreaking legal cases? People comment on her shoes instead. His philanthropy? Some call it PR. Even their marriage isn't safe from speculation. Are they fighting? Are they too busy for each other? When's the divorce announcement coming? The world loves a perfect couple almost as much as it loves tearing them down. Despite all this, they're making it work, kind of. They've got strategies to cope, like humor, his secret weapon, and purpose-driven work, Amal's saving grace. When they're not jet-setting across the globe, they're trying to create small pockets of normalcy. Playing with their kids, relaxing at home, or just finding quiet moments to reconnect. Those little things matter when your life feels like a three-ring circus. The truth? They're doing their best to keep the fairy tale alive, but it's not easy. Fame might look glamorous from the outside, but the inside story is far more complicated. Balancing careers, family, and the never-ending demands of the spotlight is a Herculean task. Yet through all the chaos, they've managed to keep moving forward. Not because they're perfect, but because they're determined to make it work. And honestly, that's more impressive than any wedding in Venice. To truly grasp what they're up against, it helps to dig even deeper into their lives. Amal's work often involves traveling to conflict zones and facing some of the darkest aspects of humanity. She stood her ground in courtrooms around the world, defending the voiceless and shining a light on injustices that most people would rather ignore. But doing this comes with a heavy cost, both emotionally and physically. Each case she takes on requires an enormous amount of preparation, research, and emotional resilience. The stakes are always high, and the outcomes can impact countless lives. It's no wonder that the weight of her work occasionally seeps into her personal life, leaving her drained and needing time to recharge. Even as they tackle challenges on different fronts, the divide between their two worlds seems to grow. Navigating two worlds. For him, the challenges are different but no less intense. His roles in Hollywood have evolved over the years, moving from acting to directing and producing. Each of these comes with its own set of stresses. Being in charge of a film, from funding to casting to post-production, is a job that demands constant attention to detail and a never-ending series of decisions. Then there's his tequila empire. While selling Casamigos was a lucrative move, staying involved in the brand's promotion means his schedule is packed with meetings, events, and public appearances. All of this makes finding time for family and relaxation an ongoing struggle. Through it all, they remain committed to their shared mission of making the world a better place. Their philanthropic efforts are a natural extension of their respective careers. The Clooney Foundation for Justice is a prime example of how they've channeled their influence into meaningful action. Whether it's advocating for refugees, funding education initiatives, or supporting victims of war crimes, their work is a powerful reminder of the good that can come from leveraging fame for a cause. However, the demands of running a foundation while juggling their already packed schedules only add to the complexity of their lives. It's easy to look at them and think they have it all. The truth is far more nuanced. They're navigating a path that few could manage, balancing their extraordinary careers with the equally extraordinary challenges that come with being one of the most recognizable couples in the world. Their journey isn't just about love and success, it's about resilience, compromise, and the determination to stay true to themselves and each other. Fame may be a double-edged sword, but for them, it's also a tool they've learned to wield with grace and purpose. What makes their story compelling isn't the glamour of the accolades. It's the way they confront the obstacles that come their way, refusing to let the pressures of fame define them. Whether they're taking on global injustices or simply carving out time to be with their children, their ability to rise above the chaos is what truly sets them apart. Their lives may be far from ordinary, but their commitment to each other and the causes they care about is something we can all admire. It's a reminder that even in the most dazzling lives, the human struggle is always present, and the effort to overcome it is what makes the story worth telling. Still, there's a lot more that goes into their lives than meets the eye. Let's delve into Amal's legal work, a career filled with high-stakes drama and profound impact. Representing Yazidi survivors against ISIS leaders, defending journalists wrongfully imprisoned, and tackling corruption on an international scale are just a few of her accomplishments. Each case involves untold hours of preparation. She meets with survivors, pores over mountains of evidence, and presents arguments that can shift global narratives. These are not courtroom dramas, but life-and-death situations. Every win is a step toward justice, but the emotional cost is immense. Her husband, too, grapples with his own set of high-pressure projects. As a director, he's a perfectionist, pushing himself and his teams to create films that resonate. He's not content to churn out movies for box office returns, he aims for stories that matter. Whether it's a political thriller or a heartfelt drama, the weight of delivering meaningful cinema sits squarely on his shoulders. Add to that his advocacy for Darfur and efforts to combat corruption in South Sudan, and you'll see a man who's much more than his Hollywood persona. And then there are the challenges of parenting. Alexander and Ella may have famous parents, but Amal and her husband are determined to keep them grounded. They're raising their children with an awareness of privilege, but also an understanding of responsibility. He has said he wants his kids to be compassionate and curious, not entitled. It's a fine line to walk, especially when your family lives in the public eye. The couple has made tough choices to protect their children, including legal actions against tabloids that overstep boundaries. Their relationship, too, requires constant work. Between Amal's travel to war zones and his time on set, maintaining a connection takes effort. They've implemented rules, like making time to talk every day, to ensure they stay close despite physical distance. It's not always easy, but their commitment to each other has been unwavering. They've built a partnership based on mutual respect, shared values, and an ability to laugh even in tough times. As they continue to navigate this life of extremes, one thing remains clear: their resilience. Amal and her husband embody the idea that challenges, no matter how daunting, can be met head-on with grace, determination, and a willingness to adapt. Their story is a testament to what's possible when love, purpose, and hard work come together. A story that reminds us all to keep striving, even when the odds seem insurmountable. Their day-to-day lives are a fascinating balance of extremes. He, despite his fame, often seeks refuge in routine. He has a deep appreciation for the simple joys of life: a quiet morning coffee, an afternoon spent tinkering with scripts, or even attempting to cook for the family. He has remarked in interviews how much he values the grounding force of domestic life, a stark contrast to the chaos of Hollywood and the philanthropic events he attends. Amal, on the other hand, finds solace in intellectual pursuits. Her commitment to justice and equality drives her even when she's faced with staggering odds. They've both admitted that their differing worlds, Hollywood and human rights law, can feel like galaxies apart, but that's where their strength lies. It's in the willingness to bridge those worlds that their partnership flourishes. Beyond their careers, the couple is known for their incredible hospitality. They've opened their homes to refugees and activists, providing both physical and moral support to those who need it most. For him, this is an extension of his activism. For Amal, it's a reflection of her deep-seated values. Even their approach to raising Alexander and Ella reflects a careful balance of privilege and responsibility. While the twins are growing up in a world filled with unimaginable luxuries, their parents are keenly aware of the importance of instilling humility and kindness. He often jokes about how he's teaching his kids to prank each other, a nod to his well-known sense of humor, but there's a deeper lesson there. Humor, he believes, is a way to stay grounded and connected in a life that often feels surreal. It's clear that their journey is far from a fairy tale. Their story is one of resilience, adaptability, and an unwavering commitment to each other and the causes they hold dear. Whether they're navigating the pressures of fame, advocating for justice, or simply enjoying a family dinner away from the spotlight, they prove that true partnership is about facing life's complexities together, with grace, humor, and a shared determination to make the world a better place. Are love and ambition a recipe for greatness or disaster? Share your thoughts below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more compelling stories like this one.